now we have social tensions, and these have been kind of high when I started in Piper, and now they're kind of really going down a little bit. First things first, right across from Piper High School, there are these quadplexes that are technically Section 8 housing. And it shows that Piper is very desirable. It's affordable housing in an area that is not affordable, in other words. So this brings a lot of diversity, usually from different parts of KCK. Families move in and they're there, they live there in these quadplexes. Now, this has also resulted in a little bit of white flight. This has happened historically in parts of KCK. If you think of Wyandotte High School back in the 30s through 60s, it was predominantly white, and slowly it's turned into about 5% white Caucasian population, and right now I think it's about 50% Latino. So just giving you a little history of Wyandotte County and showing you where this is happening. It's all kind of moving west, and we're seeing that in Piper now. Now, this also leads to families being out of district. Like I said about the quadplexes, a lot of students are out of district at times, living out of district and coming to Piper. You might use somebody's address. This causes larger class sizes. It also brings more diversity, though, which I think is good for our community. It leads to that white flight I was talking about, and it has led to some legal changes. Next year, if you want to use somebody as a educational guardian for their address, you have to have it court ordered, and it has to be submitted to the school district for you to attend Piper High School. And so that's a huge change. And I think they're just trying to alleviate some of the class sizes and making sure that whoever is at school lives in Piper. And of course, from a morality standpoint, I would love to have everybody in school there, who is there. I think having an open school would be great, but also you have to think of the taxpayers who live in the community and are supporting our school district and, giving the best opportunity for their kids as well. And, that sometimes can put school leaders in a tricky predicament. Also, the national elections this past year really caused some turmoil in the community. You saw that with students talking about their parents' views and things like that. Never got too crazy, but also, I could tell there was a little bit of tension. We've always had competitive sports teams. I coach bowling. We go to state quite frequently, and we haven't really lost to private schools, but our football teams, they might be super good in the area. They might go undefeated some years, and they just get demolished by some of these private schools that are ranked 4A. Now, that's caused a little bit of animosity towards some of those particular private schools. And that's happened several times in basketball as well, both men, boys and girls. But with that growing school district, we have currently moved to 5A. And so I think that is one of the things that the legal changes are trying to address, maybe seeing if that's really where our school population is at. We are growing. We're one of the fastest growing in the state, but I think they want to really address who needs to be there. Next, we have community efforts. We've had two bonds that I've really heard a lot about. The newest one, our new elementary school, opened last year. It's beautiful, awesome building. It's supposed to be the high school after about 10 years. I'm not sure if that plan's going to stick with our growing district, but it's a great building. We also added on to the high school about 20 years ago. And also a lot has been built out in Piper. There's a Legends outlet. It was supposed to lead to lower taxes, is supposed to increase taxes a little bit, but the Piper residents are still complaining that taxes are very high, and they are in all of Wyandotte County. And so they're trying to see the benefits of having Legends Outlet and Kansas Speedway and the KC Monarchs, who were formerly known as the T-Bones. T-Bones filed bankruptcy. Sporting KC, they're all trying to see the benefits of all these things kind of being built out there. So it's kind of, there's a lot of community efforts as far as that goes. And also the Renaissance Festival and the Azura Amphitheater is out there as well. And there's a lot of concerts out there. It's been called so many names. I've lived in Wyandotte County for a long time, and the Renaissance Festival has always been there. But Azura Amphitheater, it's been called Sandstone, Providence Medical Center, Arena. It's been a lot of names. So those are all kind of community efforts to, bring in that revenue to the schools. Next, we have the power structure of the district. School board members, it kind of gets tricky. A lot of them are very involved. Their spouses work in the school district at times. They have kids that attend the schools and go to sporting events, and sometimes the board members kind of get a little too involved in that, and it's kind of gray area between where they're a parent and where they're a school board member, and it's kind of a tough situation for them, but they have a little more leeway in certain situations, so it's kind of hard to navigate. Also, when I first got here, there was a reputation for good old boys, and that's really dying out with new leadership. I know new leadership has led to changes and things being done differently and people being held accountable. And that's really burned some bridges for people who were kind of under that blanket of, oh, they're okay, they're one of these guys. But I think everybody's kind of adjusting and trying to find their way in that. And next, we have people know each other a lot. And, they've lived in Piper for so long, they judge people based off their past experiences with them or the other person's past actions. And that's normal human nature. But it also leads to people assuming things in certain situations. And that can lead to disagreements, arguments, things like that, when everybody's really just trying to do the right thing for the kids. Also, we have the local community members. They really want to support the schools. They have ties to teachers and coaches. I know quite a few of the community members and just people who are there to support the school, and they've lived in Piper for decades and they want to keep living in Piper and supporting it. And next we have particular families, and I thought this was very important. There are a few families in Piper who've just been there forever. Their grandparents went there. They went there. Their kids go there now. Their kids are going to move back and go there, and have their kids go there. It's just some of those families have a lot of ties, and they do hold some kind of weight and power with their actions and their opinions. People listen to them when they speak because they've been in the community for so long. They support the schools. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just some of these families have literally put in so much time that, school leaders, teachers, staff, other community members listen to them. Next, we have multicultural issues. We have diversity in the school district, and that's led to white flight, like I mentioned before, and it's been new adjustments for families who've been in Piper for years. And it was predominantly white, and there might have been one or two African American students in a class, and now it's very diverse. And I'll be honest, from my personal perspective, I love it, but I'm used to teaching in that climate, and so a lot of families and students are getting adjusted. As far as holidays and traditions goes, most of the staff and school leaders will say happy holidays. They're respectful of that kind of trying to respect everybody's cultures or different religions. It's very Merry Christmas in the community, though. And so I think it's predominantly kind of showing that, hey, we're not afraid to say Merry Christmas, but also it's not always the most respectful of other people's religions. Also, we have a policy with hats and hoodies, and you would think, what's this a multicultural issue? Well, there was an incident where an African American female had a head wrap on, and that's part of some attire, and she was asked to take it off by one of the assistant principals, and it kind of turned into this big thing, and it created a lot of kind of a little pulse in the community, a little blip in the community. People were talking about it for a little bit. And by the end of last year, we just weren't enforcing the policy, and we're going to revamp it next year and try to figure out where we can be culturally sensitive, but also still not allow hats and hoodies because it's a security issue if we're looking at cameras. There was an incident my first year here, graffiti in the bathroom stalls, racial slurs. This led to a silent protest, and Black Leaders of America's club became stronger because of this. They organized that protest. It was student-led, and it really showed some solidarity from them. Also, cultural awareness, staff knowing their students and, empathizing with what they're going through and, recognizing their culture and trying to work with them on different things and their families with different things. Some families don't recognize these differences, and they might see it as, well, that student got to do it. Why can't I do it? Piper's a small area, so everybody hears about everything. So sometimes it leads to some tricky situations. Next, we have the public opinion. We Are Piper Facebook page. It can get pretty ugly sometimes with discussions, but overall it's generally positive. I think most people mean well and they want to support the students. They're quick to complain on that page, as I think that's a Facebook thing though, but they're also quick to support. So we also have community support. Piper typically has great support. Disagreements arise, but it's all based on what they think's best for the student. It's not like people are trying to not support students. They're trying to support students in different ways, and they have disagreements about which way is best. Lastly, we have increasing public understanding, and efforts have been made by the new superintendent with weekly emails, newsletters. She's out in the community. She's out in buildings. She stopped by my classroom a few times. She's just one of those people who wants to get involved and really get the community and the school more in sync. Also, people have open invitations to school board meetings, and we have solid participation from many families. Correlation, this assignment really helped to have me understand what knowledge I need as a future school leader. This prepared me for that, and it's going to make me a better school leader in supporting the success and well-being of students and adults in my building. Also, this is extremely relevant. Learning the dynamics and statistics and inner workings of a community is just super important for any future leader to know. This can lead to new initiatives that community members can rally behind, but also revamp old initiatives that can meet those communities' needs. It doesn't even necessarily need to be revamped. It can be reworded to be more fitting to the community. And so I think this kind of assignment really helps me tailor that, and it really further my knowledge in how to reach out to community, and that's by understanding them first. And lastly, this assignment was really eye-opening for me. I taught in Piper for a long time, but I really learned a lot. As a future school leader, I'm going to make sure I know this information for my new community that I work in as a future school leader. I really want to do my best to know them and to meet their needs, and I want the school to be a cornerstone in the community. And this assignment helped me really focus my intentions on that. And lastly, my references. Thank you.